Have you ever wondered what would happen if a paranormal experiment went horribly wrong? Stay with me, because today I'm telling the story of a cursed forest that watches back and hears you when you speak its name. If you're hearing this, it means I either lost, gave up, or worse, something else is choosing to share it for me. Not that it matters now. This isn't going on the channel. This isn't content. It's a warning dot, or maybe it's just me trying to hold on to the idea that someone's still listening. Let me back up. I run a YouTube channel. Used to, I guess. It's called Deadlight. Urban legends, cryptid lore, haunted places, the usual clickbait buffet. But I wasn't in it for the cheap thrills. I was chasing truth, or at least debunking the lies. That's what Deadlight stood for. Shining a light where things are darkest, exposing the frauds, the myths, the money-hungry ghost tours selling fear by the footstep. People loved it. The haunted hotel in Arizona where the crying girl turned out to be a busted pipe. The supposed demon house in Maine that was just mold hallucinations. I made a name by pulling back the curtain, Wizard of Oz style. And then I got greedy. It started with an email. No subject line, no sender, just a link. It was a 2006 era blog post on a backwater forum. The Wailing Grove, Vermont's Lost Ritual. I clicked because of the name. It sounded fake in the exact kind of way that gets views. The post was short, bad grammar, worse formatting. But it talked about this patch of forest near a town called Harlow's End, Vermont. Local kids dared each other to go in at night. Legend said if you stood in the grove at exactly midnight, faced north, and recited a line from the Song of Still Water, something would answer back. The ritual sounded like every urban legend stitched together. Midnight, a chant, nature, a response. Nothing new. What got me wasn't the story. It was the comments. There were only 3 all posted within 2 days of each other. Then silence. Comment 1. It worked. I don't sleep anymore. Comment 2. The chant is wrong now. It learned how to sing. Comment 3. Tell them not to look at the trees. That should have been the first red flag. But you have to understand, I wasn't afraid. I was curious. This was a ghost story buried so deep. No one was even profiting off it. No merch, no books, no TikToks. It felt pure, in a way. Like it was waiting for someone to find it.so. I packed my gear, scheduled a 3-day trip, and drove to Vermont. I didn't tell my viewers where I was going, just teased an unfilmed legend and said I'd go dark for a few days to build hype. Harlow's End isn't on most GPS apps. I had to use paper maps, cross-reference old ranger logs. When I got close, the paved road turned to gravel, then dirt, and then forest. Miles of it. Trees like black ribs poking out of the earth. I stopped in the town first. Population maybe 60, if you count the dogs, gas station, church, diner, and a building that used to be a school but looked like it hadn't seen a kid since the Reagan era. The only person under 50 was the gas station clerk. Kid with piercings, vaping behind the registered. I asked him about the Wailing Grove. He blinked like I'd said something rude. You mean the old woods past Bramble Creek? He asked. I nodded. He chewed on the plastic end of his vape pen. People still talk about that. Online, I said. Figured I'd film a segment there. It's for YouTube. That got a laugh. Not a mean one. More like nervous amusement. Then he leaned in and said, if you hear singing, plug your ears. And don't ever answer back. I thought he was playing along. Local color, you know. Cool, I said, and paid for a pack of batteries and trail mix. Not cool, he muttered as I walked out. Not at all. I hiked out the next morning, camera rolling. I documented everything. Bird calls, mossy trails, dead phone signal, classic horror movie setup, right? It took 4 hours to reach the supposed spot, a clearing in the woods, just like the blog said. Circle of trees, too evenly spaced to be natural. That's when I noticed the carvings, symbols, etched deep into the bark. Some old, some fresh, words I didn't recognize, and beneath them, scraps of cloth tied to branches, like offerings, tiny bones in the grass, arranged like letters but spelling nothing. It felt wrong, but wrong in a way that excites someone like me. I thought, this is the sweet spot. Atmosphere, suspense. Maybe I do a whole series. I set up my tent on the edge of the grove. The sun dipped fast behind the trees. By the time it hit 11:30 p.m., I was ready. Here's the part one haven't told anyone, not even my editor. The chant? I didn't plan to say it. I was gonna fake it. Dramatic whispers, heavy music, maybe splice and audio glitches later. But I had a recording of the original Song of Still Water saved on my laptop, some dusty 1930s vinyl track uploaded by an archivist. It was eerie as hell. Barely audible, just a man's voice, humming. At the 2:46 mark, he speaks a single sentence. Under still waters, it waits, and it listens. I played it on loop. For ambience. That's when I noticed something in the background. A second voice, low, feminine, like someone humming along. I turned up the gain, listened again. The female voice was repeating a phrase. It waits under breath. Speak, and it hears. And I said it aloud, just to try it out. For the mic, it waits under breath. Speak, and it hears. The forest went silent. Even the wind stopped. Then, from deeper in the trees, a reply, not words. Just a long, low note, like someone exhaling in tune with the earth itself. That's when I shut the camera off. That's the part none of you ever saw. And that was the last night I slept. I don't remember falling asleep that night. I just remember waking up wrong, not in the tent. Not even near the grove. I was lying on my back in the middle of the clearing, face up toward a sky I didn't recognize. It was too still. The moon was huge, too bright. The stars didn't look right, clustered in spirals, like something drawn instead of real. And the trees, they weren't swaying. They were leaning, slightly, all angled inward, toward me, like they were waiting. I sat up. My breath was visible, even though it wasn't cold. The grove was quiet, yes, but it wasn't empty. I felt it. Like I was being watched by something just smart enough to stay still. I tried to play it off. Told myself I must have sleepwalked. Maybe it was stress. Or bad trail mix. I didn't believe it then. I don't believe it now. I went back to the tent. Everything was untouched. Camera, batteries, gear, all there. But my watch was gone. In its place, a pine cone. Clean. No dirt. Just placed neatly on top of my sleeping bag like a token. That was the first night. I didn't leave. I should have, but I didn't. I told myself I needed more footage. I wanted to capture something. The chant, the atmosphere, it was perfect bait for viewers. Maybe even enough for a full docu-style series. You don't just walk away from that kind of potential. So I stayed. I spent the next day walking the perimeter with a GoPro strapped to my chest. Midway through the loop, I found a tree with carvings I swear weren't there before. Letters, clean and shallow. DONTRECORDTHEVOICE. No context. No sign of who left it. I made a note to film it later. For now, I just snapped a photo and kept moving. About 20 minutes later, I found the watch. It was hanging from a branch like an ornament, still ticking, but backward. That night, I started going through my footage. Here's where it gets weird. At first, everything looked fine. A bit underexposed, But clear, the chant test, the initial grove shots, it all matched my memory. But then I reached the 2:14 mark in one of the clips. I paused. Right behind me, just to the left, was a figure, out of focus. Dark outline. Could have been a trick of the trees. I scrubbed back, played it again. It moved. Between frames. No footsteps, no approach. Just closer. By 2:16, it was gone. I checked the live stream comments from earlier that night. 2 people had posted. Who's the guy behind you? Oh bro, did that thing just move? I hadn't seen it live. I hadn't even noticed. That's when the audio glitches started. Random whispers in the background. Sometimes behind my own voice. Sometimes cutting over it entirely. One phrase repeated more than once. You shouldn't have spoken. I tried isolating the track, filtering it. But every time I played it, the voice sounded closer, not louder, closer. Like it wasn't in the footage. It was in the room. I slept inside the tent that night with the camera off. Or I thought I did. When I woke up the next morning, the GoPro was on. Battery half drained. SD card full. I didn't remember turning it on. I played it back. It was recording me. As I slept. Just 6 hours of footage of me lying still. Except at 3:03 a.m., I sat up, eyes open, lips moving, whispering the chant again. It waits under breath. Speak, and it hears. Over and over. No emotion, no hesitation, like a loop tape. Then, behind me in the corner of the frame, a shape flickered, only for a second. It was thin, too tall. No face, just the vague outline of something bipedal and watching. By the third night, I'd stopped sleeping. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the trees leaning inward, heard that long, low tone. It wasn't just in my dreams anymore. I could hear it in the wind, in the creaks of my gear, even in my own heartbeat. And then came the message, not on paper, not on my gear. It appeared as a caption, automatically generated, beneath one of my old clips. The video was from a trip I did months ago. A haunted barn in Pennsylvania. Harmless stuff. But now, in the auto captioning, at timestamp 6 seconds, it said, "Do not look in the trees." You brought it back. I hadn't edited the video. It wasn't even uploaded recently. I played it again. The same message appeared. Then I noticed something else. In the reflection of a window behind me in that barn, there was a tree, just one. A pine tree. Leaning. There were no trees near that barn. I tried to leave that morning. Packed everything. Didn't even care about the footage anymore. I walked back the way I came, toward the trail, then the old Ranger Road. 30 minutes in, I reached the grove. Again. Same clearing. Same symbols. Same pine cone. Now at the center of the circle. I thought maybe I'd gone in a circle. Checked my compass. It was spinning. I turned around. Walked the opposite way. 10 minutes later, the grove. Again. I walked for hours. Always back to the grove. The final straw came at dusk. I heard something in the distance. Not animal. Not human. It sounded like my own voice, calling from deeper in the woods. Hey, over here. It was my voice. Exactly. Same cadence. Same lilt. But I hadn't said a word. It kept calling. Hey, this way. I stayed frozen. And then, a reply. There you are. I turned. No one. Just the leaning trees. And behind them, something unfolded. A shape. Flat and wrong. Like it had too many elbows. I ran. I made it back to the grove again. There was a new carving on the trees. Not letters this time. A symbol, like a sideways hourglass crossed out with a jagged line. And below it, scratched shallow and messy, 3 words, not your body. That's where I am now. The fourth night that I don't know what time it is. My devices won't power on. The stars keep shifting positions. The wind keeps singing that I've stopped saying the chant out loud. But I think I already said it enough, because now, when I whisper anything, something whispers back. I stopped trying to track the days. At some point, the sun started doing things. It wouldn't rise, not fully, just hung there on the horizon, like it forgot how to set. Sometimes it would flicker, like a fluorescent bulb. That's when I realized something was rewriting the rules. The trees moved when I wasn't looking, not swaying, not rustling. Moving point one afternoon, at least, I think it was afternoon, I turned my back to the grove to boil water. When I turned back, the entire tree line had inched closer. A full meter, like chess pieces being played by someone who didn't want me to notice right away. They were circling me in slow motion. That's when I stopped sleeping entirely. I didn't need to anymore. Or maybe I wasn't capable. My thoughts were unraveling. Not in a panicked way, worse. In a gentle, quiet way, like water leaking out of a cracked bowl. I started hearing footsteps at the edge of the grove. Slow, measured, always just out of sight. Sometimes they came with humming. It wasn't a melody, not exactly. Just a sustained note, like a human voice stretched into something non-human. Other times, I heard my own voice echoing back from the woods, but it wasn't repeating anything I'd said. It said things like, "You always wanted to find something real. You believed in nothing. So it gave you something. Now you're part of the story." One night, I think it was night, I found the tent zipped shut from the outside. I hadn't done that. Inside, everything was arranged in a perfect circle: camera, batteries, mic, lenses, and in the center, my own boots, tied together, upside down, filled with mud, not dirt, not soil, mud, thick, black, and smelling like rotting leaves. But the ground outside was dry. Hadn't rained in days. When I touched the mud, it moved, not slid, not oozed. It shivered. I tried burning the footage, everything, hard drives, memory cards, even the tapes. But no matter what I threw in the fire, something always remained. Point one card, completely melted, still beeped when I held my laptop, dead for days, booted up on its own, and played a video I never recorded. It was a static shot of the grove. Nothing moved. Then, at the 3-minute mark, someone walked into frame. Me. But it wasn't from any angle I'd filmed. It was like the forest had been filming me. I started finding carvings on my own skin, tiny scratches on my arms, back of my hands, my chest. Nothing painful, just symbols. A different one each time I woke up. They never bled. They never hurt. But they were there. Point one morning, the message was clear: stay still. So I didn't move that whole day. I sat in the center of the grove, hands on my knees, trying to remember what it was like to be a person who laughed at ghost stories. And that's when I saw it fully, not a glimpse, not a shadow. The thing that had been watching. It stepped between the trees like they were curtains. No dramatic entrance. No roar. Just presence. It was tall, but not in a monstrous way. It wore the suggestion of a human form, but it didn't move right. Too fluid, like it wasn't bound by muscles or bones. Its face was a blur, not out of focus, just incomprehensible. Like trying to describe a color that doesn't exist. It didn't speak, but my teeth started vibrating, like it was using my own bones as a speaker. You opened your mouth. You asked to see. Now you can't close your eyes. I blacked out after that. Or maybe I blinked. When I came to, I was lying outside the grove, miles away. No trail, no gear. Just a microphone in my hand, plugged into nothing. And my voice recorder, it was already playing. Not me. Not my voice. The entity's voice. Repeating my last video intro, word for word. Welcome back to Deadlight. Today we're diving into one of the darkest myths you've never heard. And then it laughed. But it was my laugh. The one I used in my bloopers. The one I cut from every video because it sounded too fake. So here I am. Somewhere between a forest that remembers me and a story that wrote me in. I don't think I ever left the grove. Not really. I think. It let me walk away. So I'd bring it with me. Because now, everywhere I go, I see trees leaning inward. You probably think this is a confession. Or maybe a warning. It's not. It's a recording point when you chose to hear point when I had to make. Because that's how it works. After the entity showed itself, something changed in me. It wasn't just nightmares. It wasn't just hallucinations. It was possession. But not in the way movies show it to spinning heads. No guttural voices. Nothing that obvious. It was quieter, more practical, more polite. It first. It just nudged my thoughts. A whisper when I edited footage. A suggestion when I clicked upload. Post it. Share it. Let them see. Let you see. You ever wonder why some stories spread so easily? Why urban legends mutate, survive, outlive logic? It's because some things aren't stories at all. They're vectors. Living things. Camouflaged as entertainment. Designed to survive by being told. That's what Deadlight was becoming. I thought I was chasing myths. Turns out, I was inviting them in. Every time I repeated the chant, every time I shared the symbols, every time I laughed off the warnings. I wasn't just documenting folklore. I was broadcasting invitations. At first, it was subtle. Random glitches in my videos. Shapes flickering in the corners, audio distortions that didn't match the waveform. Some viewers noticed. They commented, "Weird echo at 3:14. Pause at 5:55. You'll see it. What's with the whispering?" But by then, it was already too late, because noticing it is how it hooks you. I tried deleting everything. Wiped hard drives. Shut down the channel. Smashed cameras. Didn't matter. The pattern was already alive. In mirrors, in reflections, in memory. Even now, maybe you're thinking about the way the trees looked last time you were outside. Leaning, weren't they? Just a little. It's not about the words. It's not about the symbols. It's about attention. Once you notice it, once you give it that tiny sliver of focus, it notices you back. And now, you've heard the story. You're part of it. Maybe you're glancing around right now, checking your windows, listening for a second set of footsteps. You should, because that's the second rule nobody ever told me. It doesn't need to find you. It waits for you to notice where you already are. And the final rule, the one I'm breaking by telling you this, you can't unknow it. You can't unhear the voice behind the voice. You can't unsee the lean of the trees. All you can do is pass it on. So here's what you'll do. Eventually, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday soon, you'll be talking with a friend, late at night, creepy mood. A few beers in, and you'll say, "Hey, did you ever hear about that YouTuber who disappeared after investigating a cursed forest?" And you'll tell them my story. Maybe you'll even say the chant, just for laughs. It waits under breath. Speak, and it hears. And when you do, when you speak it aloud, even as a joke, you'll feel it. The world leans slightly inward. The trees tilt, almost imperceptibly. The stars spiral, and something just beyond the edges of the night will listen and smile. I don't know if this will be the last thing I post out. I don't know if I'm even posting this. Maybe it's already uploaded without me. Maybe it's already inside your feed. waiting, because Deadlight was never my channel, not really. It was its, and now, so are you. If you made it to the end, maybe you're not just a viewer anymore. Would you keep filming after hearing the first whisper? Tell me in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this first-person horror story before it spreads.